Sezgin Demirok, and today here we have the ambient post-rock legends, God Is An Astronaut, and you're with the people of Müzik.
Hello. How's it going?
It's been good for us, but actually we have to ask, how has your tour been? Because it's the end of the tour.
It's been a really good year. I'm not sure how many shows we've done. So this is our last show of the year. Just last week we were in India to a lot of people for the first time. But the year's been really good. Good audiences. People seem to still come for shows, which is great.
People expected you.
I think it's been good, and for us, I think it's great to have finally just a full team that we're really happy with. There's a great spirit in the camp.
Can you say a few things about Epitaph? I mean, a bit in detail. How did it come to be?
The album was written in memory of our 7-year-old cousin whose life was tragically taken away. I think it's a little bit over 2 years now at this point. And we wanted the record to kind of be a tribute to him, and also kind of describe the kind of horror and just the absolute, what would I call it, just nightmare that we as a family went through. And each song essentially captures a part of that story. Epitaph itself captures the news of when we received it, to the whole funeral, and then trying to come to terms with it. The song "Wishing," for example, was trying to capture the beauty that he brought into people's lives, and each song encompassed a little bit the part of Wishing, and it was probably our darkest record to date, and something that I feel probably nearly our most important album that we've written in a long, long time.
So, speaking of the Epitaph in detail, and it's 9th studio album, right?
Yeah.
How have your album themes been in general, from the starting point?
Okay, I can take a few, and maybe Enes can take the lads can take a
maybe.
few. I mean, in the beginning, when we began, and this is probably the year 2000, 2001. Maybe even before that. I think it was even 1999, because there was this whole Armageddon, the year 2000 vibe, and a lot of the stuff that we'd written was nearly pre-2000s. We'd written a lot of this stuff, and it was almost, as Niels called it, the apocalypse culture. I think is what you kind of encompassed, and that was kind of a big part of what the end of beginning was about. It was kind of this idea of darkness and tragedy and just fear mongering, and we wanted to kind of capture that kind of tension that was kind of going on at the time. And then it was the whole President Bush war and stuff like that, but that's where all this violence came from. So it's a kind of a really shaky time. And it's funny how things kind of repeat themselves. Stay the same.
But in different shapes.
Different shapes. All Is Violent was a record that kind of obviously touched on a bit there with All Is Violent, but it was kind of like the world looked like it was kind of going to end in a way that there was so much doom and gloom with wars happening, and I wanted to kind of capture a kind of an ice age that was going to come. So that was kind of All Is Violent. It was just When Everything Dies, for example. It was like, it just looked, again, apocalyptic culture, I'd say, again, just heading towards the end.
The fallout after.
The fallout,
After
Post-apocalypse.
A Moment of Stillness, which we later turned into a full record. It was kind of Do you know what it was like? It was like my idea for that at the time was like if you were, the end is just happening, but you made it in slow motion, and it's like everything is falling apart, but it's all in slow motion. You can just live in that moment of pure chaos, but beauty in it at the same time.
When everything dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was almost like taking a look around at chaos, but then freezing it and then trying to remain calm within it. That was kind of the theme for that one. Far From Refuge was a record where it was really just about the uncertainty, that the fact that the world, everything around us was kind of turning into a kind of an unsafe place, you know. So Far From Refuge was wanted to really capture that kind of environment. So, certain songs on that record, like Beyond the Dying Light, was about my grandmother, who her faith in God, let's just say, was gone an hour or two before she would pass on, which was really affected me because this is a woman who was very religious. To lose her faith when she most needed it, it was very tragic. So I just wanted to. The whole song was written in her memory. Moving on to the next one, which was the self-titled. This is a kind of a record where I think, wanted to come out with all guns blazing. Age of the Fifth Son. Again, I think that was again inspired again, you know, by the time that we live in. Age of the Fifth Son. I was really happy, still really happy with that particular song. That was kind of just again, I'd say, going back to the whole Armageddon kind of vibe, and was it In the Distance Fading? It was kind of written about people that you were once close to, but they kind of, as time drifts by, they become less and less relevant. So it's kind of a tragic part of life. So it was kind of written about that. And the next album, Origins.
Well, we took a long break. That was like all those albums were pretty much written year after year. Then with Origins, we had
about 3 years.
We had a year off completely. We didn't do anything, and then we took about 2 years to write it.
Yeah.
So it was a very different approach to Origins.
Origins was almost like sculpturing in the sense that we threw a load of sound down first without trying to actually write any music, and then from it we'd see, can you hear something in it that you could carve out to make something. I think that album has some of the best stuff and maybe some of the weakest stuff. Hideous Erebus was really just, first of all, it was obviously inspired by the whole light and darkness. We really wanted to also capture the live sound of the band, because we knew that part was working. Every time we play in the city or something like that, people say, "Oh, geez, it's a pity you can't get that live sound on the record." So that was really our attempt at just trying our best to get the exact live sound, put it onto the record. I think that was the kind of, we didn't want to take any risks. We wanted to make sure that this is an album that sounds like God Is An Astronaut, feels like God Is An Astronaut, and feels like the live band, and just to keep it to a point that we know when we come out with Hideous Erebus, it works. And even today, when you hear this set, don't be surprised when you walk away and you'll say those tracks from Hideous Erebus sounded the best. Yeah. Because that's what they're designed for. There was no messing around. It does different things. It's in a live environment. Those songs are really hard to beat. Centralia, Hideous Erebus. Those I don't know. They rival Suicide by Star and those songs easily. In this environment. Epitaph, as I said, we wanted to do something that wasn't inspired by what would happen live. But funny enough, those songs sound great live as well.
They do, yeah.
So I didn't think that was going to happen, but it just, even like it was Medi as a track, which I was really scared that we could never do live.
Yeah, like when we did the production on that one, we were nearly going with the idea that this just doesn't even exist live, so we just go as wild as we want on it basically, and just bring it into territory that it doesn't matter where it's going if it seems like no human being can play it. But I always think the most fun part then is then re-engineering that and seeing if there is a way to then recreate it and present it live.
All I can say, without Rob, that track would not be possible live. It's just the amount of manipulation that's going on with the laptop and the sounds that he's actually sampling live and stuff like that. It's just a complete, he's made it work.
The first song I've listened from you was in 2009. It was Fragile. So particularly I wanted to ask what have you felt producing that song?
Fragile, obviously was written about, which we're playing tonight as well. It's
great news.
It's kind of just the idea of being stuck in this, what is it called, agoraphobia, is that what you call it, where you just can't leave the place.
The claustrophobic.
Yes. So, and it's kind of the idea of when it goes heavy, it's almost like you snap. So it's that kind of thing. The video obviously was kind of cleverly put together where it was almost man's inhumanity to animals in space, but you know, in reality it was a more of a personal thing where I felt trapped and I needed to kind of just break.
So, you know, thinking of the talking about the themes of the albums in general, how do you produce album covers? I mean, how come like you combine two?
With the exception of two, I don't them all. It's just something that has to sit with the music. Is the main thing. Obviously, with the new album, we had Furzy from Best Discreets. We gave him the record, and we said we didn't actually tell him what it was about, and he came up with the cover, which kind of really eerily matched the theme, and we told him what it was about, and he couldn't believe it. So it was the perfect cover for Epitaph.
Would you think of composing soundtracks anytime?
Yeah, we're up for business.
Yeah, if everybody wants to do soundtracks, we can. It's something we would love to do. There's just hasn't been really any concrete opportunities coming through.
So, you know, you have addressed some, you know, issues with your songs, and maybe not intentionally, but like, what do you think about continuing? Are you going to continue doing that, or do you have any ideas, you know, about like addressing several issues? You're not a political band, but
No, I mean, I don't ever. I mean, we obviously touched once or twice on political things, with all's violence and stuff like that. But as a general rule, we prefer not to be a political group, because I actually think it's a slippery slope in general. Because once you start going political, then you won't be playing in different countries, and you know. And I think it's not. Yeah, you're restricting yourself, and I just don't. I think music is for people who don't want to be political. They just want to be free-minded and enjoy and
For an escape.
An escape. So I definitely don't want to write something that's politically motivated, and just want to write music that captures our feelings as we travel through life, I guess.
So, you know, emotion is one of the elements of God Is An Astronaut music, right? So what are the other elements, philosophical elements or anything?
Obviously, emotive, what we feel, what we experience is the centerpiece. Around it, we obviously want to make music that stylistically we enjoy. You know, music that is kind of doesn't sound like, you know, pop music or whatever. You know, we were definitely more alternative minded. We like kind of sounds that sound a little bit more experimental and a bit more left to center. So those things, I don't think I could go down and do something that, you know, would appear in X Factor or something like that. You know, so I want to write stuff that kind of feels more sour, hard to digest, and you know, something that's too sugary and poppy. So yeah, definitely want to keep things discordant. I just think a little bit unusual. You know, I'd rather be on the dark side than on the bright side.
Yeah, I think the other thing that goes hand in hand with the emotive aspect of the record is its world and its atmosphere that it invents, because to deliver the emotive aspect you need to bring people into this place, into this world, into this slice of time. So I think, that's the other half I think that I'd say the group focuses on a lot too. Just kind of crafting this space that you're experiencing these emotions in.
Speaking of the journeys you mentioned, what's the place on earth that you you would, you know, fit your music, like particularly personally?
Maybe center of the earth.
Fiery. Centralia.
Centralia.
In America.
Yeah.
Central America.
I know for me, I've got the unique perspective that I wasn't with the group when they wrote the earlier albums, especially end of the beginning, and now knowing the thematic elements of it, I always pictured places like Chernobyl right after the accident happened in Ukraine back in the 80s. So I always had that kind of post-apocalyptic kind of
that would have been
imagery in my head for that. So that's a place I think kind of suits it, just that lonely, decrepit, used to be urban area where it's just like, it's kind of haunted feeling, like people used to live there but now it's completely abandoned, but it looks like it hasn't been touched in 30 years, that kind of vibe.
So, I would like to ask, I mean, this maybe a mainstream question, I'm not sure, but what's your most favorite album so far?
Our own album or a different album?
Your one of your albums.
Let me see. really hard to say. I also say like the last one we wrote, like Epitaph. I don't know, Epitaph.
I used to always like Moment of Stillness when
Yeah.
the EP.
I suppose maybe then probably for me would be End of Beginning, because it's like that was like it was intended as our farewell to the music industry. It was like we were going to finish off just 10 years of bullshit and just going to put out something we actually like, and then if it doesn't go anywhere, that's at least we can say we released one piece of music that we were happy with.
Yeah, I'd say for me it would be, well, I'd be biased by Epitaph because obviously I was closer to that record and my contribution. I think it's emotively, I'd say, the strongest in the whole discography. But the same as Neil's actually. When I first listened to the group years ago as a fan, it was End of the Beginning was the first one that had an impact on me, and then the self-titled actually after that as well. Because even with the self-titled, there's still some tracks on that and ones we've never played live where I can still dissociate them and listen to them as a fan, which is kind of interesting. But
we'll ruin it for you sooner or later.
Bring them all live. But End of the Beginning, I just feel it's even now it's still so unique in what it captures. I still think it's a sound completely contained within itself. I haven't ever heard anything that sounds like End of the Beginning to today as well.
I think for me, obviously Epitaph will be probably one of the most important records because of what it means.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say All Is Fine, All Is Bright, because I think musically, maybe not stylistically, but musically, it jumped a level forward than in the beginning, and it's just songs like Suicide by Star and Fragile.
Definitely Distance.
The Definite Distance, all those songs, you know, they were kind of unique. I think just compositional, it was a huge step forward, and I think it pretty much is the God Is An Astronaut people know today.
So thank you very much
No, thank
for
you.
the
Thank
interview.
you. Cheers. Thanks
This
for
was God Is An Astronaut, and we were in Zorlu PSM, and you have watched The People of Music.